first look. Ooh, boy! The most hated gun on Instagram. I love this. Like it makes me feel like some kind of alien farmer, like I'm in Rick and Morty or some shit. Boy, shit. What do we think, Ryan? Come on, tell me, Ryan.
I don't want.
You don't like it. You don't like it. Well, you go fuck yourself. Don't let other people on the internet tell you what's cool and what's not cool. You tell you what's cool. I think this is fucking sick. Whew. Boy, the internet hates this gun, which is really a shame because the internet is always correct. And unfortunately, I happen to very much like this rifle. So everyone mount up, because today we're talking about the SIG MCX Regulator. I'm telling you why I like it, why you hate it, and why you might be right. Let's start with the basics of the MCX before we get to this somewhat unusual derivative of it. The MCX Regulator is anything but loosely based on SIG's next generation MCX platform, which was introduced in 2015. The MCX has been adopted by more and more military and law enforcement units in more and more countries, especially in recent years, not to mention the larger 308 frame version of this rifle, the Spear, being adopted by the US military, while smaller versions of the MCX and PDW sizes like the Rattler have been adopted by a number of the most prestigious US military special operations units in the United States. In simpler terms, the best special operation units in the world. That means to you that the MCX is a proven platform. It's a reliable and durable system that is, of course, much more expensive, much heavier, and more complicated than the AR-15 and M16 style rifles out there. However, you gain the reliability associated with piston operating systems, as well as the flexibility to adjust your gas system, add more or less gas with a 2-position regulator on the fly, which makes it great for use with a sound suppressor. Moreover, SIG offers a selection of different regulators that you can use, mix them, match them, depending on your suppression and ammunition requirements. The MCX also facilitates quick and easy caliber changes, whether it's just swapping your upper, which is 2 pins, just like an AR-15. The regulator is compatible with pretty much any other MCX upper, or you can just change the bolt in the barrel to switch between 5.56, 300 blackout, 7.62, 39. You're also equipped with a free float handguard system that's swappable to fit your specific needs, which means an abundance of Picatinny rail and M-lock, more than you know what to do with, brother. In short, the MCX stands as a solid, proven platform. But what about this, the regulator? Well, this is some space cowboy shit, and I mean that the best way. It's a ranch rifle for terraformers. It looks like a conventional American-style rifle that icons like John Wayne or Jeff Cooper might have shot, but like it's been fucked by the Serenity. The regulator employs a standard MCX upper, kind of. My review unit features a 16-inch 5.56 upper with a reduced IR signature, flat dark earth Cerakote, ideal for when you're targeting thermal optic equipped varmints on the farm. It also comes with a muzzle brake fitted over a threaded barrel. Essentially, the upper isn't all that different from what you would find on a standard MCX, but considering this rifle is probably geared towards band states, I'm surprised a non-threaded or just a regular straight barrel doesn't appear to be an option. I could be wrong on that though. SIG's website is silent as far as barrel threading. The lower, however, is where the real innovation is. Mechanically, it's akin to the MCX, but the notable difference is its compatibility with Mossberg 500 stocks, unleashing a world of possibilities. The stock, if you will, on the regulator is a Magpul Mossberg 500 stock, which I doubt many will feel compelled to replace. Yet the potential for customization is real, especially given the compatibility with short-barreled uppers, the option to switch to 300 blackout. Like, think about a 9-inch 300 blackout upper with a silly Hydra mount and a lamb on Grandpappy's walnut shotgun stock. If it hasn't been done already, it's only a matter of time before this shows up on Instagram. In any event, that's kind of a neat thing, this compatibility with Mossberg 500 stocks. A necessary tweak was the safety. The standard AR-15 style safety from the MCX can't be reached with the straight stock, so it was replaced with this ambi safety, more akin to what you would find on a frame-mounted pistol, for example, and it works really well. Aside from that, the control scheme layout, including the ambi bolt release, the mag release, it remains consistent with the other MCX rifles out there. Now, theoretically, the layout could be a little bit better because the buttons and levers are pretty tricky to reach with the straight stock. Magazine changes can be kind of weird. Your fingers right here, you're used to being able to reach up here, right? And hit that mag release because you're normally right here. Obviously, you can't do that. So, my brain, as I'm traveling the 15 yards from here, my little pea brain is like, okay, that doesn't work. So I reach over here because I know we've got an ambi mag release, but I accidentally hit the ping pong paddle instead, and that drops the bolt on an empty gun. I'd already dropped the bolt, so I had to manually rack it. It does complicate your manual of arms a little bit. It would be nice to have a side charging handle on this thing. Even an AK style side charging handle. I think of like the Mini 14. It is a little awkward with this type of gun to use the T handle. But again, what you're getting is compatibility with the MCX and a somewhat familiar manual of arms for you AR-15 guys. That said, I think SIG shouldn't mess with the configuration too much since it's feasible to interchange parts without their MCX lowers, with the obvious exceptions of the pistol grip and the safety. Ideally, a paddle magazine release right here, like what's found on the Mini 14, would enhance the setup. For someone like me who has 1997 zip disk size muscle memory, fully occupied by the AR-15 and the AK-47, I'm going to be eye-fucking this thing a little bit during mag changes. Just perform a few extra scans post-action to compensate for the momentary lapse in tactical awareness during those more involved mag swaps. And naturally, it takes AR-15 or STANAG magazines. The T charging handle might not be the best choice, but again, it makes sense if you're using pre-existing uppers, right? No reason to totally revamp the MCX upper for this. Magnified optics users might find the positioning a tad inconvenient for racking, especially considering the potential interference with your optic depending on the eye relief and the size of that glass. That said, this is a relatively minor issue. There's a noticeable gap where the pistol grip would traditionally sit, nestled between the trigger guard and the magwell, right here, yet SIG cleverly repurposed this space by integrating an ARCA rail for tripod use, which is brilliant, especially given the rifle's exceptional accuracy for what is, at its core, a combat rifle with the aesthetics of a futuristic ranch rifle. The Regulator is somewhat reminiscent of Derek Zoolander's first and only day in the coal mine, maybe pretending to be something it's not. However, this rifle isn't blue steel. It's reduced IR signature FDE Cerakoted aluminum with a cold hammer forged barrel and a two-stage match trigger. Ryan and I were thoroughly impressed with the accuracy from this. Using military-grade ammo from one of my favorite manufacturers, S&B, we achieved tight groups ranging 1.2, 1.3 inches, and a few 1.5-inch groups using a premium budget class Maven optic running on a dead battery, shooting from a bag. This level of accuracy means you could feasibly take headshots on xenomorphs out to 500 yards, perhaps even beyond, with the right optic and a stable shooting platform. Ryan just did like a 1.2 inch group right here. Come on, get in there. 1.2 inch group. I just shot a 1.3 inch group. So these were kind of our warm-up groups right here, which are still not bad. It's 1.5 inches. That's like our warm-up group. Ryan's is probably about the same. Now it's like a little over 2 inches. My warm-up group, 1.5 inches. Ryan just shot a 1.2. I just shot another 1.3. That's pretty fucking good for a piston-fired gun. I don't have a soft spot for this rifle. I've got a semi-hard spot for it. I'm a fan of its aesthetic, and despite some quirky controls, I still appreciate its handling. Thanks to the muzzle brake, recoil on this son of a bitch, non-existent. The rifle's accuracy, spot on. I'm aware some might see this video as proof of me being a SIG shill, though deep down you really know that's not the case. So why then, might you ask, would I be so accused? Mainly because the internet had a field day butt blasting this gun whenever it came out on March 7. There are several reasons for the backlash, but only one of them really holds water. For starters, the gun's looks didn't sit well with many. It seems that we Americans prefer our ranch rifles to evoke images of farmland rather than an anime remake of Brokeback Mountain. I find that ironic, considering the goddamn traditional lever action has undergone downright revolting modern reinterpretations without much bitching from you guys. Meanwhile, give a semi-auto ranch rifle a contemporary twist and suddenly some kind of line has been crossed. Adding further to the irony, I'd bet if this were offered in a 308 configuration, which means you could also swap it to 6.5 Creedmoor, the reception would have been a little bit warmer. Speaking of marketing, SIG's April Fool's Day in March campaign for this model turned some heads, not in the way you want, featuring the Marlboro Man on horseback with his trusty MCX regulator that his pawpaw used way back when he was herding sheep and fighting off fentanyl hobos in 2037. Despite the mixed execution, the effort to innovate within regulatory constraints deserves a little credit to SIG, right? Even if the regulator makes the internet cringe, I think it looks downright awesome. In my opinion, the Gunternet's initial reaction was a little bit misplaced, and I'm hoping that this video with real-world performance data, some sexy footage from my hetero life mate Ryan, could turn the tide until the sticker shock hits. We're talking a hefty $3,000 MSRP. Offhand, the SIG MCX Virtus 16-inch model is around $2,800, making this a pricey piece. If I were SIG, I'd consider marketing the regulator lower as a standalone product, potentially at a more palatable price point that might tempt existing MCX owners like myself who have another upper or two and want another host, especially if this were available in black, the lower that is. Now, for those of you in more restrictive ban states, this might be a compelling option, even though, and maybe this is the only time you'll ever hear this on TFBTV ever, but I think the Mini 14 might be a more budget-friendly and better alternative without sacrificing too much in the way of functionality. When it comes to gun reviewers, I'm in the Mini 14 camp. It is a lonely camp. Hickok 45 keeps getting blackout on Boone's farm and shooting off fireworks when everyone else is trying to sleep in the Mini 14 camp. The Mini is an underrated gem that many dismiss based on its older, less accurate iterations from 30, 40 years ago, but Ruger has significantly upped its game in recent decades, enhancing the Mini's performance and accuracy. That comes with a higher price point, of course, but a comparable Mini 14 might set you back between $1,000 to $1,200, making it a more economical choice compared to the regulator while accomplishing much the same thing. In fact, the Mini 14 Tactical and 300 Blackout ranks among my top picks for a suppressor-friendly platform. Now, does this mean the regulator falls short of the Mini 14? Far from it. Aside from aesthetics, it outperforms the Mini 14 almost across the board. AR-15 magazines, it's more accurate, probably going to be more reliable, undeniably more modular and adaptable. It's simply the better firearm unless traditional styling is your main criterion, or price. But let's not forget the Mini's charm partly lies in its easy handling. At 6.4 pounds, the Mini is noticeably lighter than the 7.9 pound regulator. In summary, the regulator is an impressive piece of hardware, ideal for those in restrictive locales or anyone drawn to this straight stock weirdo look. Yet, its eye-watering price tag, coupled with strong competition from the likes of the more affordable Mini 14 and the excellent Fight Light SCR, which MSRP is at $1,300, might challenge the regulator's market presence, at least on paper. Nevertheless, I hope I'm wrong. There are tons of people who will buy SIG firearms like this because of their devotion to the brand, or just because they want some of that Crane pixie dust in their gun safe, and I like to see large gun companies like SIG rewarded for trying to bring hardware like this to people who otherwise can't get it for political reasons. On top of that, and this is a funny thing to me, especially at SHOT Show, we as gun collectors, we always like to see new, provocative, exciting designs, but then we're reluctant to adopt anything that's too radical because it's usually put out by a small company run from the back of a transmission rebuilding shed where you can bet they're probably going to go out of business in the next 2 to 3 years and screw over everyone who paid thousands of dollars to adopt their crazy new platform. But we still love when people do new stuff. Here you have Sig Sauer, one of the largest gun companies in the world, releasing something new, something exciting, something different, not just another AR-15. There's a practical purpose behind it. There's a legal purpose behind it. And yet you guys are still bitching about it. I understand if you're pissed at the price. I get it. $3,000 borderline cockamamie, especially considering the other options that you have out there. But as far as everything else with this magnificent gun, I'm on board. I'm going against the rest of the gun internet on this one. And someday they may be dropping and possibly yelling. It's a tad bit late because Sig Sauer with the MCX had to regulate. Holy shit, that was bad. Oh my God. Please don't unsubscribe from my channel. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.